Okay, so next up is going to be flip flaps. I know that you've probably heard of these, but let me show you a few ideas on what you can do with them. Let's start by just looking to see what flip flaps are. I have 8 different sizes. There are 8 by 12, 6 by 12, 5 by 7, 4 by 6, 4 by 4, 3 by 4, 3 by 3, and 2 by 2. So let's take a quick look at the 4 by 6 because those are the most common ones that people use. And in our 4 by 4s and 3 by 4s, I believe those are the only 2 that have this. They have them in 2 types. The ones that where the strip of adhesive is at the top and where the strip of adhesive is at the side. Now on the other ones, they only have them on one side, but this is convenient for some tricks that you can do with it. When you lay a flip flap down and have it flip open on a page, you can under it have it flip open, the second one flip open this way. So flip this one open, flip this one out. You can have another one flipping out this way too. There's so many fun things you can do with it. I will be attaching some other videos today, not at the hour marks, but in between, because I've done a lot of videos on flip flaps and I want you to see a couple other techniques that I might not cover in this main one. So what's cool about flip flaps is they go on the outside of your page protector. They are meant for photos, they are meant for journal blocks, they are meant for decorations, they're meant for titles, they're meant for your Picture My Life pocket scrapbooking cards. There's so many different things you can do with them, memorabilia in them, tons and tons of different things. They go on the outside of your page protector, so even if you've forgotten to put a picture on or didn't have enough room for all the pictures that you wanted on your layout, it doesn't matter because these are gonna go on the outside of your page protector. So you can add as many as you want to. That's gonna save you money in the long run because you are not gonna have to do as many pages for all your photos. Instead, you're just gonna add lots of flip flaps to your pages. So they have a little strip here that you're gonna take off. Let me see if I'm on the right side, there we go. That's got the adhesive on it. The adhesive is fairly clear. It's not perfectly clear because there's just no way it's going to be absolutely perfectly clear, but you're really not going to notice it when you put it on your pages. And I'm going to show you how to make it even less noticeable when I show you how to put it down on a page. So let's get started on that. There's going to be a little bit of glare as I show you these different flip flaps because they are in page protectors and page protectors just going to glare. So, but remember, we're looking at the outside and not so much the inside of the layout. The first thing I do when I'm looking at a layout and want to add some flip flaps to it, of course, I'm going to figure out what I need the flip flaps for. You know, am I putting extra photos or whatever? But just for simplistic take on it, I always look to see if a flip flap will work on my layout. So there are ways to put a flip flap on that make the layout look awesome, and there are ways that will make it look awkward. So I'm going to show you some of the tricks to not make it look awkward because not every place on your layout is going to fit a flip flap very nicely. So for instance, this is a very nice little title page here. And I could look at these 2 places. I always look for where the photos already are. That's the first place that you're going to think about putting a flip flap is where the photos already are on the layout. So here I have a 4 by 6 photo right here, and I have a 4 by 6 flip flap in my hand. So I would look at this flip flap and I would say, if I put this flip flap here, is anything going to look awkward? And yes, it would. So I got a picture in here, and that means that this spot right here, this little sticker here is halfway sticking out. Let me bring that up closer to you so you can see. So with my flip flap over it, just the letters AY would stick out, and that would look really awkward and kind of, ruin the look of your layout. So I would not put a flip flap here. Another thing you're not going to want to do is you're not going to often, once in a while you can, but you're not often going to put flip flaps that are not the same size. I could, if I wanted to, for instance, do 2 3x4s on a 4x6, but it most of the time is going to look awkward. I've done it on occasion just to show it off that you could do it, but mostly it's going to look awkward because if you lift up one flip flap, you're only seeing half of the picture underneath it, right? So it's a little awkward. So it's better to kind of stick with putting the flip flaps that are the size of your photo underneath. So this one is awkward, so I'm not going to put a flip flap on there. Instead, I'm going to look at this one. Now this is a perfect spot for a flip flap because we've got this nice open space of where the flip flap could go. When I put the flip flap down, it is just going to cover up right where that photo is. There's nothing weird sticking out of that would look awkward. So I'm going to now put that flip flap here. So first I peel this off. I always, let me tell you about what's inside first. So I have lots of different things you can put in flip flaps, and this one in particular, I put a picture my life card. So it was already cut 3x4, which is nice. It matches the coloring of the whole page, very cool. It adds another thing, a little element about a title, kind of a, you know, what do you call the title underneath the big title, subtitle, right? So kind of a subtitle there. And then on the other side, I did the other PML card for some journaling, okay? So I stuck those in there, remembering that when you flip it up, whatever you have in here, you want to make sure it's right side up when you flip it up, because this is going to be down. And then when you open it, you want, if you are going to do a title in here or your journaling, you want to make sure it's right side up. So don't forget that. Now I'm going to take off the little strip. There's adhesive underneath. And I always want to line it up exactly over the other photo. So I'm going to put this very carefully so that it's kind of right over the other one. And I'm going to open it. And then now the adhesive is showing a little bit. So one of the things you can do, and I'm going to grab my bone folder here, you can do this with your finger too, but if you do it with a bone folder or your finger or whatever, it makes all these little adhesive dots erase, and so now you've got just a nice smooth look there. There's another option too. If you do not like it, there is one little spot here, one little strip on each flip flap that is made for you to hold on to as you're putting it down. You can trim that off ahead of time if you want to. You can just trim it off if that bothers you. It does not bother me, so I don't worry about it. But before you put that down, if you just trim that tiny little strip there off, you can. So remember, when you put your flip flap down, you're going to just kind of squeegee it out there so that all the little glue dots behind it are kind of smoothed out. So now you've got an extra spot for journaling, for title, or photos in there too. So let's turn this over. Now I've got these different sized photo mats on here, and I'm going to look and see if I want to put my flip flap on the outside of one of these. Now if I put it here, you've got this funny egg coming out. The bow also is halfway covered up. I don't like that look. Same for this one over here, and I do have that bow kind of popped up, so my flip flap may not look as smooth there. It might not lay down as flat there because that's popped up. This one is popped up too, so that might not be a good place for my flip flap there. So let me show you those a little bit. See, I've got those popped up. That's not gonna lay down as smoothly. Not to say that you can't put flip flaps over popped up spots, you can, but it's just gonna be a little more awkward. Now, this spot here is perfect. There's no bow there. Everything's nice, smooth, flat, and my flip flap fits over it completely, and there's no awkward looking things sticking out. So this time, I'm gonna do it on the side. Inside, I've done a picture my life journaling card. On the outside, I've just put a mat, so that's where my photo would go. So I'm gonna pull the strip off. And I should show you, if you kind of show, I don't know if it's gonna show, see those, just those little kind of dots from the adhesive? That's what I kind of erased down here. So now I'm going to line it all up with the photo that's already there. Put on everything nice and straight. Press it down, let's see, maybe just a little bit more up. So So I'm gonna move it up just a touch more because I want this white paper in the flip flap to go right over the white paper below. And let me lay that down. Smooth it out. And then I'm just gonna take my bone folder and get rid of the little glue dot look. And that kind of smooths it all out. And then you put your photo underneath, of course, and you've got a photo here. So that's one page. Let's look at this next one. I'm going to show you an example of a layout that isn't going to take well to any flip flaps. Number one, don't want to put a 4x6 flip flap here because look, half the bunny and half the saying is not going to look good if you got something on it. So that's not going to work. So another thing I'll look at is, can I do like an 8x12 one? So if I was going to put this on, is it going to look smooth over here where I've got something interesting here that's not cut off? No, it's not. So you can see that if I've got paper in here, half these bunnies, half this flower are going to be covered up. It's going to look awkward. So I would not do an 8x12 there. So then I try a 6x12 and see, would that fit? Nope, the same issue here where now you're cutting up half the bunnies, right? Can't do it this way either because the same thing, you've got half the bunnies covered up and half their bodies down below. Same if I put it down here. There's an example of a layout that's not going to look good with any flip flaps on it at all. On the back side, same type of thing. Don't have my 4x4 flip flap here, but you can pretend for a second that if I had a 4x4 here, I got half the bunny covered. Over here on this side, same thing. If the 4x4 was here, half this bunny is covered. It's the same with both things. This type of layout's not going to take well to a 4x4 flip flap at all. Same with 6x6. If I put a flip flap here, that's going to look really awkward covering up half the pictures. Not going to work on the top, not going to work on the bottom. With an 8x12, works a little better, except now we've got this bunny split, right? If I did it here, I've got this picture split, so it just would look funny. Don't want that. So this whole layout would not work for flip flaps. Let's go on to the next layout. Here we go. We've got several different spots here that you can look at. This one would be okay. So you could absolutely put a flip flap here because this is sort of by itself. Only thing is I've got this little bit of a heart here. So that would be cut off slightly, but it's so tiny, probably wouldn't matter. But I still might not put one on there. This one, you can't put a flip flap because now you've got this flower. Not only is it punched up, it's popped up, but it's gonna cut that whole flower apart, so it's just not gonna look right. Over here, you're not gonna do a flip flap when you've got another flower, picture overlapping this picture. And the same with this one, I'm not gonna put a flip flap here when it's gonna cut off half this flower. So try to look at what's gonna be behind your flip flaps before you make that decision. Now on this page, this one, this big 5x7, not gonna work well for a flip flap because these flowers are gonna be all cut off there, but we've got some spaces here. So I'm gonna show you how to do a little not even a waterfall one. I'm just going to show you how to double up on your flip flaps. I was gonna do a waterfall, but then it was looking funny, so let's move on to this one instead. So you can double up your flip flaps. So I'm gonna take this off, put it directly over my picture, lining it up so nothing's sticking out awkwardly. Open it up, smooth that all down. Remember, you can trim this part if you want to, but just do it before you put the flip flap down. And take another one. And this time I'm going to open that up. Oop, these stick a lot. It's a lot of static electricity. This time I'm going to put this flip flap right over the other one. So line that up. Lay that down nicely. Use my little bone folder to make it all smooth. And now I've got two flip flaps on top of each other. Decorative. I think I put it a little too high. I'll tell you, you might want to test them before you put the glue all the way down. But I'm going to, because these are fairly removable, I'm going to go down just a touch so that folds over better. There we go, much better. So open, open. Now you've got all those extra spots for your photos. Let's do the same thing on the bottom. I'm gonna take the adhesive strip, try to get it off my hand. Look at this. All right, ooh, got a lot of shadow on this picture. Sorry about that. I got all my lights on. I'll put that there. Lift it up. Do the bone folder. And I'm gonna take this one, just a little bit lower. Just a touch under that fold. See how that did? Yep, pretty good. See, when I closed it, I didn't like it as much. So I'm gonna pull that up just a little bit more. Can I get that thing off my hand? Just a tiny bit more, I think. And like that. Test it out before I lay it all the way down. That's good enough. And bone folder. And now you've got all these extra spots for photos. See? Not perfect on that one, but I'm doing it fast. So you understand you're gonna do a little bit, take a little more time with that. So that's that section, and I'll be right back with a different bunch. All right. For the last bunch of layouts, I'm going to show you whether flip flaps will work on it, and then a couple of cute tricks that you can use. So this one, again, not going to work for pretty much anything. If I put, lost my, oh, there we go. If I try to put a 4x6 here, you can see that's going to cover up half of that. If I try to put a 4x4 here, it's not going to work because of this, right? So that page is not going to work. 8x12, not working because, again, I'm cutting off this part here. So none of those are going to work. We'll leave that one alone. On this one, though, I have a space. This one wouldn't really work because I've got that diamond there. This one's not going to work for the same reason, but I do have this spot here. So we're going to do something a little different on this one. I'm going to first put, see how I had this. Okay, so I'm going to put this one on the top. This. I've got 3 different ones, flip flaps on here. And let's just make it interesting. So I'm going to layer that on. And I have a little more room because I'm going to put 3 of them on here. I'm not going to push it all the way down yet because I want to show you. I'm going to now do one here. So because this has just a nice little outline here on this, I can just put my flip flap there. So one will flip out the bottom there. So the one that opens to the top, then one that opens to the bottom. And then we'll have room for one more that'll open to the top. So I'm gonna stick that there and open this up. And now I'm going to put this one on. And this is going to be underneath. So it's going to be top, bottom, top. Put that right there. Okay, let's test them out. So that opens that way. This one folds in on that, and this will fold in on that. So now I can go back since they all look good. And I can take my bone folder and lay those down nice. There we go on that, and on this one. Get all those little dots, keep them from showing. And we'll close that up. Top one down first, then the bottom one, then the top. And that is very interactive. And look at all those extra spots that you have for photos. Perfect. Next one. Excuse me. So this one was another one where I was debating on whether I was going to stick a flip flap on. So here's the problem. It works well with a side one, sort of, if I have one on the side like this. But if you'll notice that if I put it right up to the top where it's supposed to be, it is going to cut off half of this look. Let me get that a little closer. I know it's hard on these. So, you know, it'll kind of like cut off half that little zip strip look. So I didn't like it. And I'm just, you know, a little bit of a perfectionist on that, where I don't like things hanging out underneath the flip flap. So that page didn't work so well. This one I looked at, and I had my 3x4. Let me grab that. 3x4 there. Well, that covers up that triangle, so that looks odd. That sticker's in the way here, so that's not gonna work. And I had my 3x3s down here, which absolutely would work, and I still could put them on. But I thought we'll do something different on this. We're gonna put a nice big 8x12. So what I did was I tested my 8x12 to see if it was gonna work, and it just fits so that Story of Us still shows nicely. So I went and thought, okay, what can I put in my 8x12? I had some nice paper that matched with the paper on here. Put that on, a couple zip strips, and then did 3 4x6 photos there on the outside. And then on the inside, 2 4x6 photos and 2 3x4. Just decorated it simply. And look at how much extra photo space you now have. And so I can put this right over here, right along the edge of the seam, because this is a big one. Let's see if I've got that right. Oh, don't have it quite lined up. Let me do it again. So you're gonna make sure that that is really going right against the seam and flush with the top and the bottom of your page. And there we go. So now you've got all this extra room for photos. Imagine. And it lays down very smoothly. So when you are closing your albums, a lot of people worry about that's gonna make the albums too thick, but believe me, it's so much easier and flatter if you're using flip flaps than if you have to do a whole other set of pages to fit all these photos in. So there's that one. One last one here. So this is one where I could put 3x4 on here, but I wanted to try something different, and I still could add these in under what I'm doing. But I want to show you that the flip flaps don't always have to go on the top or the bottom when they're large flip flaps. So I knew that I could do the flip flap that would fit in here, look nice, not be awkward, but put it in the middle instead. So you can see everything still lines up beautifully there, even under the flip flap, right? Nothing sticks out awkwardly, but we're putting it in the middle this time. On this one, pattern paper, matte, lots of stickers that I had left over. Same for the back. So now you've got all these extra spaces for the photos. So I'm gonna pull that off. And instead of being at the top or on the sides, I'm gonna put it right in the middle. And because I did some nice dry embossing on there, I've got lines that I can match up and do so that it looks nice and straight. There we go. Open up, do the bone folder. That all scraped down. And now you're gonna be able to see the photos underneath. I could still put, whoops, need a 3x4. Still could put flip flaps inside too, right over where I stuck this strip. I could put more photos in here if I needed them. But there is the whole page. So you can see flip flaps, awesome. This last page, I could also add some 3x4s here, but I've already shown you how to do the 3x4s. So there you go. Those are flip flaps. Those are just a few of the ways you can use them. I'm going to be uploading some other videos that I've done in the past to show you some other cool things about flip flaps too. Best product ever.